not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes.
They won't even give me a permit for the parties, man. They don't want me to throw the parties no more. But we ain't gonna stop. We gonna keep on having fun, bringing people together from all walks of life.
Did Jay reach out yet?
Nah, Bob. He ghosting.
What the f is doing? These things sweet now, because I'm in here.
Diddy's behind bars, and let's just say things aren't looking too pretty for him. With his trial creeping up, he's got no room to maneuver, and we all know that when the pressure's on, even the slickest criminals can slip up. Well, it turns out, Diddy just couldn't resist reaching out to one of his sons from the prison phone, hoping they'd help cover up a few loose ends. But here's the twist. Rumor has it, he didn't stop there. Somehow, Jay-Z's name got dragged into the mess, sparking all kinds of speculation that he might be next in line to face the heat. Talk about a plot twist. What exactly was Diddy trying to hide? And could his phone call be the key to bringing down even more of hip-hop's elite? Alright, let's break it down. Diddy's in lockup, with restrictions tighter than a drum, and yet he's been dialing out, using every phone call he can to get his sons on a little cleanup mission. Now, normally you'd think these would be innocent check-ins, right? Well, not with Diddy. Word on the street is, he's been orchestrating moves from behind bars, asking his kids to sweep up evidence and handle business on his behalf. Here's the thing. One of those calls, which by the way are all recorded, just leaked online.
Do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes.
Now everyone's raising eyebrows because if Diddy's sons even think about helping him out with hiding evidence, they could be looking at obstruction charges themselves. Diddy may be trying to keep himself afloat, but dragging his own kids into this mess? That's a bold move, and one that just might backfire. And to cover his frequent calls, his sources are trying to spread the word that Diddy has been missing his children terribly, and he is on the verge of a mental breakdown. And we're not talking about rumors, because they have been speaking with mainstream media to spread the sentiment. They said, it's heartbreaking to see the children in the state they're in. This is their father. But to them, he's not Diddy, he's Dad. He has always been a loving, devoted father. He has 3 minor children, 2 of whom now have no living parent available, with him incarcerated. 4 of his 7 children have neither parent available with him incarcerated. He is very concerned about his kids and their well-being. Well, there might be some BS here, because according to this conversation, Diddy is worried about something other than his kids.
Everybody out there quiet as
Yeah,
exactly. We gonna let them have their little fun, but I'm still gonna have the last laugh.
Well, that might be a grave misunderstanding on Diddy's part because he is being treated like a normal detainee in the prison. The insider claimed he is being treated like any other detainee awaiting trial. As with all public figures in his position, he was placed on self-harm watch upon admittance to the facility as a precaution. It looks like Diddy's been left out in the cold, and that alone is a serious wake-up call. For someone who's used to rubbing elbows with Hollywood's top dogs and pulling strings, this must be one tough pill to swallow. Normally, you'd expect the industry elites to rally up, call in favors, and make sure he gets that special treatment. But the silence? Deafening.
Did Jay reach out yet?
nah, Bob. He ghosting.
What the f is doing? These things sweet now, because I'm in here.
Think about it. If those power players were still in his corner, he'd already have cushier accommodations, extra privileges, or maybe even a way out of the mess altogether. But without that hidden support, Diddy's just another detainee, and it's clear that the industry has washed their hands of him. Some are even saying that this could be the ultimate blow, maybe even the end of the line for his influence in the industry. Aside from the lack of privileges, Diddy is sweating bullets because the feds are out here digging up dirt from the past like they're looking for buried treasure. And guess whose name keeps getting whispered in the background? That's right, Jay-Z. The same man who went from hustling beats to sitting at the top of the industry, all while keeping his hands seemingly clean. But let's be real, Jay didn't just stand by Diddy's side all these years without getting a little dirt under those designer nails. See, Diddy and Jay's connection goes way back to the days when the music scene was just finding its rhythm. They were out here moving from music to moguls, building fashion lines, selling spirits, and stacking media deals. And you're telling me that Jay didn't know about Diddy's shady dealings? Come on now. These two were tighter than a Gucci belt, riding for each other, putting money in each other's pockets, and making moves.
Who is Sean approved from the world of entertainment?
There's only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody else could call me Sean.
Now the word is, as soon as the feds put that heat on Diddy, Jay-Z went silent, like pin drop silent. And if you really look, the industry's top dogs, who usually have Diddy's back, are sitting this one out. Almost like they're just watching, sipping tea, waiting for Diddy to take the fall. You think Jay isn't in the mix? Oh please, this is the same man who knows how to play chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Matter of fact, there's even talk that Jay's playing puppet master here, letting Diddy sweat it out while he keeps himself squeaky clean. Why? Because letting Diddy rot behind bars might just be the move that lets Jay stay on top without competition. And while Diddy's stuck calling his kids on a prison line, trying to keep them out of his mess, Jay's out here unbothered, like he doesn't have a care in the world. Jaguar Wright just lit a fire on the Piers Morgan show, and you better believe it's spreading. She's out here saying that Diddy's not just sweating under the feds' spotlight, but might actually be about to drop some serious secrets on Jay-Z. Yeah, you heard right. She's talking about Diddy spilling tea on the real industry moves, and according to her, Jay's right in the middle of it all. She claimed that Diddy's apparently struggling with a serious substance habit, and Jaguar's claiming that with the pressure he's facing, he's only a breath away from flipping. She made it sound like it's no longer about loyalty. Diddy's just looking for a way out, and if that means pulling Jay-Z down with him, so be it. This isn't just a case of two friends growing apart, it's looking more like a ticking time bomb.
He has no choice. His ego and his addiction won't allow him to do anything different.
And let's be real, Jaguar wouldn't be risking it on national TV if she didn't believe there was some truth to it. She even hinted that Jay might be biting his nails right now, worried that Diddy, backed into a corner, might just start naming names. Alright, so as soon as Jay-Z's name got dragged up in the media alongside Diddy's current mess, he didn't waste a second. Jay went straight to his lawyers. But check this out, it wasn't Jaguar Wright, the one dropping all the claims, that got hit with the legal threat. Nope, Jay's teams targeted Piers Morgan instead. Now that's interesting, right? Jordan Siev, one of Jay-Z's lawyers, claimed Piers Morgan's irresponsible broadcast filled with lies is so far over the line that a legal ultimatum was warranted. Nobody acting under the guise of journalism can elicit outrageous statements from exploitative situations in an effort to drive clicks and not have to answer for that. And because of that threat, Piers had to offer a public apology. He said, "That's why we invited Wright on to be interviewed. The people making these claims have an audience with or without shows like mine. Editing interviews is not something we do lightly at a show called Uncensored. But like the proverbial cries of fire in a crowded theater, there are legal limits on us too, and we apologize to Jay-Z and Beyonce." Jaguar's been out here for years talking about Jay-Z and Diddy's business moves, but nobody seemed to care. Only now, when she said it on a high-profile show, did Jay-Z make a move. And here's the kicker, Jay's got a lot to say about Piers, but not a single word about his buddy Diddy or all the legal heat he's facing. For a guy who's always ready to make a statement, Jay's silence on his old friend's troubles is louder than words. Makes you wonder, what's he really trying to protect? Listen, Wright claimed to know 3 alleged victims of Jay-Z and Beyonce willing to come forward. Wright described them as a nasty little group and said, "They do nasty things. Keeping people against their will, putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane unconscious. There is a lot that people don't want to talk about." Although Morgan has apologized for Wright's statements, former celebrity bodyguard Big Homie CC addressed her comments in an October 23, 2024 interview on Cam Capone News. He began by highlighting that Wright has written songs for some prominent figures in the music industry. Homie CC noted that despite her contributions, Wright hadn't received credit on certain projects. He expressed admiration for Wright in the interview, referring to her uncensored comments and saying, "I just want to tell Jaguar Wright, be careful." She just went on Piers Morgan. Beyonce and Jay-Z sent Piers Morgan a cease and desist, made Piers Morgan publicly apologize. Today it's about to get dangerous for a lot of people. So if you out here doing what you doing cause y'all not me, you better be on P's and Q's. It's about to get ugly. This is when people start to turn up dead right now. Keep that in mind. Well, the general consensus is that the Carters aren't going to speak on Diddy's legal drama because they are too interlinked with each other. And In Touch Weekly quotes a source saying, "They've remained conspicuously silent following news of Diddy's indictment. There's already talk about what they knew, and if it got out, it could prove embarrassing. Few, if anyone, have rushed to Diddy's defense. The last thing Bey and Jay want is to implicate themselves, so they're going to keep quiet." If you think about it, maybe the Carters acted fast because they didn't want their name mixed in the Diddy drama at any cost. Diddy's time at Brooklyn's MDC is already sounding like a nightmare. This place? It's known for conditions so rough that even judges hesitate to send folks there, describing it as dangerous, with some even calling it barbaric. And Diddy's team? They're going full force, scrambling to get him out and over to Jersey, where they hope the conditions are more fit for pre-trial detention.
Reality has hit him. And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble.
Being locked up in the special housing unit means he's stuck in that cell for nearly 23 hours a day, watched around the clock. His lawyer, Mark Agnafilo, says it's typical treatment for high-profile detainees, but that doesn't make it any less intense. And here's the kicker. Experts and ex-inmates say MDC's lockdown could throw a serious wrench in Diddy's defense strategy. Hamilton, an expert on prison conditions, points out that restricted access to his legal team makes preparing for trial a real challenge. So if Diddy's defense is shaky, it's not just because of the charges, it's the conditions he's dealing with that could make or break his case. In terms of fighting their case, it makes it all the more difficult, because now, in terms of you being able to communicate with your attorney, you are at the mercy of what's going on with respect to the facility. Is it on lockdown? Is the facility letting visitors in?
We're going to fight this case with everything we have, as is he, and eventually he's going to be shown to be innocent. And so tomorrow we fight again, and we'll fight every day until we don't have to fight anymore.
Speaking of Diddy's current situation, let's not sugarcoat it. He's in a hellhole. A former MDC detainee spilled the tea, revealing that the conditions there are downright inhumane. And honestly, it seems like poetic justice. It's terrible. The food is terrible. Of course, the inmates are terrible. The guards are terrible. The conditions are terrible. It's just terrible. After making so many people's lives a living nightmare for years, it's about time Diddy got a taste of what real hell feels like. Think about it. He's no longer the king of lavish parties or calling the shots in the industry. Now he's stuck in a grimy, overcrowded cell with barely any light and, according to insiders, the kind of treatment that makes even the toughest crumble. But hey, when you've spent years orchestrating people's worst nightmares, maybe this is exactly what karma looks like.
A lot of them are brought up on pretty heavy federal indictments, right? So just in terms of the atmosphere there, it's just certainly one that no one wants to be in.
It's no surprise that Diddy's trying to keep a lid on things by asking Judge Iran Submaranian to put a gag order on anyone tied to his case. The flood of lawsuits against him is practically drowning his chance for a clean defense. So what's his move? A gag order to silence accusers, witnesses, and lawyers from talking to the press about the nasty accusations stacking up against him. But honestly, who can blame folks for talking? Diddy's defense team is pulling out all the stops, arguing that unauthorized and prejudicial leaks are wrecking his shot at a fair trial. They even pointed fingers at the Department of Homeland Security, claiming DHS must have leaked a 2016 video showing Diddy attacking ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura to CNN. Not only are they saying this video was deliberately dropped, but they're also alleging it was strategically leaked on a slow news day, trying to tie it to a pause in Trump's hush money trial. That's quite a stretch, but it shows just how cornered they feel.
I made a request today for what we were calling a gag order, and I'm not going to walk out of court and do anything other than live up to that.
Talk about his demeanor in jail and what it's been like.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to answer any more questions.
Combs's team called the judge's attention to a New York Post article that had been published that day and supposedly, to quote a federal law enforcement source who was involved in the investigation, who issued comments on Combs's alleged freak-offs. Those remarks, if made by an agent involved in the investigation or prosecution in this case, are plainly improper. Submaranian wrote, "This order requires the government to notify the agencies involved in this case or the related investigation of their obligations under Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E and the U.S. District Courts for Southern and Eastern New York's local Civil Rule 23.1 and to furnish this order to them. The court will take appropriate action for any violation of the rules." Meanwhile, some pretty shocking lawsuits keep pouring in, like one from Ashley Parham, who alleged that Diddy's retaliation for her bringing up Tupac's elimination involved a brutal attack. Another accuser, a male known as John Doe, alleged that he was a minor when Diddy attacked him in 1998, saying it was all part of a rite of passage. These stories are disturbing, and with Diddy's team pushing hard for silence, it's clear they're feeling the pressure. Diddy's lawyers argue that the court of public opinion could ruin his fair trial, but it seems like the truth is coming out in bits and pieces despite his attempts to lock it down. With his reputation hanging by a thread, a trial date set for May 2025 on charges of racketeering, S-teaking, and more, he's got a long road ahead. Whether or not that gag order goes through, it's clear that Diddy's legal mess isn't going anywhere quietly. However, Combs's lawyers have lost a bid to impose a gag order on government agencies involved in investigating his federal racketeering and ST criminal case, whom Combs's team has accused of leaking information to the press. In an order, Judge Arun Subramanian refused to adopt either proposed order filed by the prosecution and the defense. Instead, he wrote both sides are expected to abide by existing laws prohibiting lawyers, investigators, and government agents from revealing grand jury proceedings and releasing non-public information that might interfere with a fair trial. To be clear, this order isn't based on any finding that there has been any wrongdoing thus far, as the court has made no findings at this juncture relating to defendant's allegation that information related to the case has been leaked, Subramanian wrote. The point of this order is to help ensure that nothing happens from now on that would interfere with a fair trial. That's all for today. We hope you liked that video, and if you did, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos like this.